You're watching BSG Online 3. The game that we're going to show right now is Grim Fandango Remastered, a very fun and a very clever game run by Conception 2 here. So I hope you enjoy it and keep watching us. Take it away, Conception.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that intro. Yes, my name's Conception 2. I'm excited to be able to showcase Grim Fandango Remastered here for you. We'll just go ahead and jump right in, and I'll kind of explain about the run and its history and all that. So whenever we are good to go, we can go ahead and start time in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, so if you're unfamiliar, Grim Fandango is a point-and-click adventure game. Originally, it's from the 90s, and it's developed by LucasArts. It got a remaster by Double Fine Studios in 2015, and this is the version that we're running. It does have the ability to do the original graphics versus the remaster. We're actually using the remastered graphics here, and that is because during testing I've realized that the graphics that occur using original will actually cause the game to crash on the PC version quite a bit. So we are going to just stick with the OG graphics to keep things as safe as possible. But yep, here we are. So we play as a main character here. His name's Manny Calavera. Manny Calavera, it lives in the land of the dead. So does everybody here. And he functions as what is kind of like a travel agent for the dead. So people die in the real world. And he helps shepherd them to the afterlife based on how good they were in their real life. So, for example, if they were really good, then they can take this really high-class silver bullet train straight to the afterlife and not have to go through any grueling processes in order to kind of cross over. If they weren't so great in life, they actually kind of have to earn their way there. And they do so by walking through the land of the dead as opposed to taking, a high-class transportation system. And they, kind of have to walk their way, earn funds, figure out a way to get there on their own. And that whole journey takes about 4 years to do. And you'll see that this run is split up over 4 years as well, and we'll kind of get into why that is. But in terms of the speedrun, you'll notice that we have our dialogue lines turned off in terms of voice lines, so you won't be hearing any of the excellent voice actors, unfortunately, and that is because it saves roughly about, I would say, 3 minutes over the run in order to just turn the voice lines off, because there are some unskippable cutscenes which go a lot faster if you have voice lines turned off and just have the auto scrolling instead. All right, put that away. One more conversation with this guy. We're grabbing a whole bunch of balloons here, and that'll kind of make sense. So in terms of mechanics, this is a point-and-click adventure game, like I said. You'll notice that it's a lot of just puzzle solving mainly, and being able to solve the puzzles and the solutions to those puzzles as quickly as we can. That's the vast majority of what the speedrun includes. There is also some handy speed tech that goes along with it, and I'll be able to showcase that shortly after we get through the top here. Pick this up here. Yeah, some animations just occur like this. They're really slow that you can't skip, but then there are plenty of animations that you can, and we'll get to see those a little bit later as well. All right, so we're gonna exit the window here, and what basically is happening here is that we need to get a work order for a vehicle to get over to a site where a lot of people have died. Therefore, Manny is going to help shepherd them into the afterlife. However, nobody is really helping out Manny in order to get that done. So he's kind of taking things under his own volition to make sure that he can get the one up on his fellow travel agents, so he can, help increase his sales to help shepherd his own self into the afterlife, because his job performance here will help get him into his own afterlife faster. All right, and that's an example. Here's an example of an animation skip. So what's really cool about Manny, so he is technically like a Grim Reaper, as you can see, but he's got this collapsible scythe, which we use very frequently throughout the run. Anytime that occurs, we can actually skip the unfolding animation by pressing the escape button. So you'll see a lot of animation skips occur like that throughout the run. In addition to that, there's going to be a lot of times where I'm going to utilize what we call gliding, which is managing your inventory items, either taking them out or putting them away while running. And the way you do that is that you click on a transition point that already exists, and while clicking, you then use the designated inventory item number, which, you know, it just goes in order of how you pick them up. And then when it does that, you will continuously run while pulling things out, whereas the game intends for you to stop, go into your inventory, take it out, and then resume running. Gliding is just a very important mechanic that we use throughout the entirety of the run, so you'll see that plenty of times. You'll also notice that sometimes I will, instead of clicking through a transition, I'll click on it, but then I'll also use the keyboard to mash through it at the same time. And that is because at certain transition points, there are times where if you attempt to walk through the transition point, there's like a weird like couple second delay where Manny's kind of processing what's going on, and he just like walks into a room really slowly and you don't have control of the character. However, if you simultaneously click through while using your keyboard to walk through, you'll skip that buffer, so that you can save a few seconds every time that happens. On things like this where there are closed doors, there unfortunately isn't anything you can do to speed those up, because you still have to go through the act of animation to open them up. So we just kind of have to do it. So earlier in the run, we grabbed a few balloons, which we're going to use for a variety of things here. Mainly, we had two balloons that were empty, and we filled them with this packing material that actually is very flammable. Then we put them down our own mail chute in order for the mail chute to stop working properly, which is why this guy has to work on it. And that is so we can intercept somebody else's mail, because Manny is a little bit suspicious that for no matter what client he gets, whether they be good or bad, all that is getting approved for him is that he has to give them the worst travel package. And he is wondering why other people in the company are getting better deals than he is. So he's trying to intercept a coworker's mail so he can figure out what the deal is. Alrighty. We're just kind of acting through the story and skipping a few cutscenes here. If there happens to be any donations or anything we'd like to plug, now's a great time for it.
All right. So in a couple of hours, we're going to have an 90% speedrun of Disney Pixar Brave by Stevie TV Online, for which we have a bid war going on where you can pick the costume that you'd prefer. We have guard mail and royal gown, and both are up for grabs, so if you have a preference, consider donating, and even €1 can secure your choice. Thank you very much.
Yes, highly suggest you do that. Steve is one of my very good friends. We're both very active in each other's communities. And Brave is an excellent speedrun, by the way. And my personal choice, if you're interested, I really like the guard armor. So if you're interested in donating towards that one, it's a particularly cool one.
Oh, you've heard the speedrunner, so get your donations in.
Yeah, and Steve's a great guy too, so you want to help support him any way you can, and obviously, donating money towards this great cause. So let's get those donations in. All right. So in terms of what's going on here, our boss found out we're doing our nefarious sneaking around, and he literally just tries to lock us away, which I don't think is legal. Don't think you can just do that. But luckily we're resourceful and we got out rather quickly. We snuck up again to the roof here to kind of go into our coworker's office to again get some clues as to what's going on. In addition to that, what's going on is that we are also saved by like this underground resistance group that exists beneath the office building. And basically they know that there's some kind of corruption going on, and they're trying to figure out why. So we're working with them to also figure out why, and also because they saved us, and that's the right thing to do. What they have requested is for us to get a pigeon egg, and that is because they're going to use pigeons to communicate, so it's more secure, I guess. Keep in mind, this is well before the cell phone times originally, so they probably didn't have that level of security yet. So they're kind of depending on pigeons for that. So what we're doing here is we put one of our inflated balloons as well as the bread we grabbed from the street party earlier, so that the pigeons will fly over here and then get spooked when they accidentally pop the balloon, therefore leaving their nest unattended, so we can grab an egg from their nest. The story is very good, and it has its nice little quirky fun parts. I really can't suggest this game enough. Obviously, the speedrun is going to kind of skip over a lot of the lore points here. If you have not played this game yet, please do. It's basically available on everything. Consoles, PC, it's on the Switch, if you'd like to play it that way. That's how I played it for the first time, actually, and it's just a really great game. It's usually pretty cheap, so if you're ever interested in just seeing what the story is about, it's really, really good.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. It's amazing. It's an amazing game.
Yeah, and the soundtrack alone, like this, it just has such good music as well. I really love the music in this game.
Oh yeah.
All right, so this is another example of gliding where you can see I'm meant to be stopped in order to take that item out, but I kind of just glide across the ground as if it were ice. This is an interesting thing that we're doing. So while we were in our coworker's office, his name is Domino, by the way. That'll be important for later. Spoiler alert. We took his mouth guard from near his boxing bag there, and we just filled it up with like this. What do they call fill-a-dent, which is like a way for them to take like an impression of his teeth, because the computers are so encrypted in this place that they need to scan teeth in order for them to be confirmed identity-wise. So we use that to create an indent of our own teeth, because they have not removed our records yet, so we can access the computers from the underground. So very, very interesting corporate espionage stuff going on here. All right, so we now, obviously it is not safe for us to stay there after we've assisted this resistance group, plus we're meant to be kind of more or less imprisoned right now. So we had to get away. Our friend Glottis, who was this large creature at the beginning, he is a demon, but he is really fond of working with machines and cars. So he actually got a getaway car for us, and then he helped us drive away, but we got stuck in this forest. So we're gonna pick up some bones here. We're gonna pick up 3 bones and pocket them for later, and then the 4th one we're gonna pick up and throw it here. We actually skipped a really funny cutscene. For some reason, Glottis is very dramatic, and because we're stuck, he kind of he ripped his own heart out, and it just threw it, and then kind of collapsed. So we had to go find his heart, and then get it. We're gonna go put it back inside of his body so we can make our way out of this mess here. There it is. So we have to kind of slingshot it across using that spider's web and that bone and our handy dandy collapsible scythe there. But now we're good to go. Glottis is safe. He's going to be able to drive us. Now it's very interesting. So there isn't too much RNG in the run, but there is some, and there is one key instance of RNG in each of the 4 years that we do, and this is the key instance of RNG in year 1. We have this puzzle here that we need to solve. I call it the tree farm puzzle, for lack of a better term. And basically what we need to do is we need to make it so you can see that there are 2 grooves on each side of the tree, and we need to make it so that the grooves on each side of the tree are moving together, so that it creates it makes the tree the most unstable in order to knock it over. And then knocking it over will clear a path for our car. So it's RNG as to how fast or slow we can get it. It's just based on cycles of these little grooves. So hopefully we can get a nice fast cycle / I can solve it in a fast manner so we can move pretty quickly. All right. So we pick up the wheelbarrow, and this is how we do it. We run over it with the wheelbarrow in order to kind of flatten the grooves here. Oops. Not quite. Not quite. All right, got one side. There we go. So that was like medium slow is what I would say. It wasn't the fastest by any means, but I've had slower. So, you know, we take that in a marathon. You know, I'm used to having the marathon luck, so. All right. So if you had missed it very briefly, when we first regained control of the car, Glottis ran over this sign, making it very loose. So we were able to just pick it straight up out of the ground. And then we go into this area of the game, which is meant to be a puzzle. What you're meant to do here is you're meant to go all over this room and place the sign. And wherever you place the sign will point you to where you're supposed to end up with the sign. However, the solution is the same every time. There's no RNG to it. So if you run over exactly to where the sign is meant to be placed, you can just place it and then move on, which is exactly what I did there. It's actually pretty handy. There's a little dark spot in the dirt exactly where you're supposed to place the pole. So as long as you place it there, you can just move on pretty quickly. It's a nice visual aid. We're going to grab this key hanging from the sign here. And you're going to see another glide as well as another hammer transition, which is what I call when we have to kind of click and get through a transition as much as possible, as fast as possible. There we go. All right, so this is a very interesting part of the run here. So these are the flaming beavers you're gonna see here shortly. Now, this is one of the small and skippable cutscenes in the run. For some reason, you can't skip this cutscene. But two, what happens here is that these are like flaming bone beavers. They're really into bones. So that's exactly why we picked up bones near the beginning. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw bones into the oil lake, for lack of a better term. I don't exactly know what this lake thing is supposed to be, so that they will jump into the lake. And then as they're jumping into the lake, we're going to time our fire extinguisher shot so that we can extinguish them. Because if they just jump into the lake, they won't be extinguished, weirdly. And they will come right back up to the bone pile, and then you'll have to start over. So we're going to do that 3 times to take care of all 3 beavers. So yeah, if there's any donations or plugs now, we gotta, we're gonna sit here for a few seconds while we take care of some beavers.
Sure. I would just like to remind our viewers that you can consider using your free monthly Twitch Prime subscription right here on the ESA channel. You will get access to all the lovely ESA emotes as well as some of the BSG ones. And you get to support both the events, which means, more support, more events that are going to happen. So consider doing that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that. I mean, between BSG, ESA, all the events that are going on, I mean, these Break the Record events have been really fun so far. You don't want to miss that stuff.
Oh yeah, there is another Break the Record live coming very soon on the 4th of December. We're going to show Dark Souls, no less. That's going to be super hype.
Exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to miss that. Every Break the Record event, I believe, has had a record broken. So who's going to want to miss that? So no one wants to miss that.
Definitely.
So we made our way through the forest finally after completely clearing out our path. And now we're in this land that's called, this part of the Year of the Dead that's called Rubikawa, which is kind of like a stop along the road, if you will. There's a little diner here and stuff like that. That we're at. And if you remember, near the beginning of the run, there was a little body bag that we opened up, and there was somebody in it, and that was actually the person that was in it, who's at the shop right now. He was sent on. He's not a particularly good person, but he's not a bad person. His name is Celso. Oops. His name is Celso. He's kind of like a medium person. He did some good things, he did some bad things. Manny did not believe that he deserved the worst, but he didn't deserve the best either. But he got the worst in terms of the worst travel package. So Celso is in the middle of trying to find his wife, which is why he stopped here, because he believes his wife is going to cross through here as well. but we have received evidence that she is on a ship headed out already. So we're going to present him with that log, and what that's going to do is we're going to then have the ability to have access to this this diner, and you're going to kind of see what we get to do with it. We've kind of transformed the land, if you will. Oops. So this is actually year 2 of 4. So coincidentally, even all these people who are trying to cross over into the land of the dead have this like 4-year-long journey where they have to pass through lands in order to get to the gates of eternity, basically. And Manny is doing that as well, and that is because there was a woman in his office near the beginning of the run as well. Her name is Meche, and she was a wonderful person in life, absolutely deserved the best class in terms of service, and she got the worst. And so Manny's like, all right, this is definitely rigged. What is going on? Like, there's no reason why she should not have gotten the best package. And she sadly started making her way on her journey. And Manny is working to try and figure out why that is, as well as saving her so he can take her directly there himself, because he just felt so bad about her being wronged like that. So he kind of holds over here as well, waiting for Meche to show up. And we find out that she's actually getting ready to be on a boat as well, getting ready to head out of here. So we need to find passage on a boat ourselves, which is what we're going to be doing, which is what we talked to the ship captain about. And he's basically given us 3 conditions as to how that's going to happen. What we have to do is, 1, we have to get approval from the Maritime Union. And that is because Glottis, our demon friend, is going to be able to work on the ship for free passage, which is great. So we have to get access to the Maritime Union in order for that to happen. In addition to that, Glottis is going to need tools to work. He can't just work without tools. So we have to convince one of the worker bees to give us their tools. So we have to get tools for Glottis. And the third one is that we have to... what's the third one? Hold on. It's been a while since I've played this for the lore. So Maritime Union card... the tools. Oh, and then there is not enough passage on the ship for Manny and Glottis. So we have to figure out a way for Manny to get on there. And the way that's going to be done is that we're going to kind of trick one of the regularly scheduled sailors into not showing up so we can take their spot. And that is that's kind of what we have to accomplish here first. That we meet those 3 objectives, we get on the ship, we can get out of year 2. This is Charlie, by the way. As you can see, Manny has turned this like little diner into sort of a mini casino. So, you know, it's got kind of like this mobster feel to it now. Charlie is kind of one of those like, you know, skis-ball mobster types. And he is able to make counterfeit stuff for us. He's able to give us a counterfeit VIP club into the bigger casino, so that we can secure our Maritime Union card from one of the reps at the casino. Oops, there we go. I'm gonna grab this bottle. That's gonna be very important later. And then we're going to give this VIP card to Glottis. And the reason why we do this is because Glottis has a vice. Glottis is a bit of a lush. He likes the drink. So he takes that VIP card and he runs with it because he knows he's gonna be able to get some free drink with that card. So he kind of makes a break for it. Which is fine. It actually progresses the story, even though it sounds like it sets us back. It actually makes it go a little bit faster for us. All right, so we're going to be making our way down towards one of the security offices. And you might have noticed earlier, I picked up a bottle. Just before I talked to Glottis there, and this bottle is a kind of alcohol that has gold flakes inside of it. So it's metal in the weirdest sense of the word, I guess. It's metal inside of a bottle, and we're getting ready to walk through a metal detector. So we're going to drink the bottle first in order to get caught by this metal detector. And the reason why is because the person who is running the metal detector is really sweet on us. So she kind of wants us to get caught, so she has a reason to like detain us and talk to us for a while. And we need her to do that so we can get her metal detector, which we'll need for later on. That little hand metal detector that she's got here. Unfortunately, to do so, and I'm actually kind of glad we turned voice lines off for this reason, to do so, we have to kind of insult her to make the conversation go as fast as possible. So she ends up crying, and I hate doing that to her because she is just this sweet person. But you know, for the sake of going fast, we got to do it. You know. You know, there's actually an achievement for like having her go through her long story. She like hearing her out as opposed to like just shutting her down real fast and saying, "Hey, can I get that metal detector?" There's actually kind of an achievement for that. And spoiler alert, she ends up crying anyway because she has a very sad story. So there's not really anything you can do to stop her from crying, unfortunately. But one is caused by her own sadness, and the other way is caused by you being a jerk, kind of. So we want to avoid all that as much as possible. All right, so this is actually the larger of the casino areas. So, oops. So, there we go. That was a weird transition. Come on, Manny. There you go. So part of it is a racetrack, and you know, typically with racetracks you see horses or dogs, right? This racetrack actually has giant cats. Hence we have the giant kitty litter here that is full, as well as the giant cans of cat food. When the security guard threw the metal detector out of the window just there, she threw it directly into the kitty litter, of course, but the metal detector is still going off, so we use the blade of our scythe in order to hear it beep, and then we kind of hook it out of the litter with our scythe there. Unfortunately, we do not get to see we don't get to see the giant cats. I wish we could, because it would be kind of interesting, but we don't get to see them. We just kind of hear them and hear the meows and stuff and people cheering them on. Okay, so this is a conversation with Nick. Nick is a lawyer, and he's also got that kind of like, you know, mobster feel to him. And we're gonna need Nick's help later. So we have to kind of boost his ego a little bit here. And then, well, it'll take a turn a little bit later. But for some reason, this whole entire conversation cannot be, we cannot skip the lines or dialogue at all. We just have to let it go at its natural pace. By turning voice lines off, we save 30 seconds in this conversation alone, which is exactly the reason why we do it. Because instead of hearing the voice lines go through, we just have to wait for the text to scroll instead. So right now all we have to worry about is just clicking through the dialogue options as fast as we can. I think part of the reason why this cannot be skipped is because, as you can see there in his cigarette case, a key fell out. So I think if we skipped through it too fast, the average player would not have been able to see that a key fell out of there. So it wouldn't want you to skip through it and be able to miss an important part of the puzzle here. So we kind of talk to him up enough that he walks away and he leaves that cigarette case there. So we're gonna pick it up. However, we can't just open it and get the key. It's like rattling around inside there, but it appears to be locked. So we'll have to deal with that later. Another glide there for you. All right, and you can see, you might have been able to see Glottis up top there. He's just taking out the cat races and cheering them on while being a bit of a lush as pre-described. So what we're gonna do is, we just saw that cask empty. So what we're gonna do first is the waiter that is bringing Glottis his drinks, we're actually going to lock him in this cupboard so he will stop bringing Glottis drinks, and then Glottis in his lushness is going to go after this keg and just drink it all down himself. And then when that keg is empty, we're going to hide out inside of it and then get brought down to that basement level because there's some important stuff down there. So we lock the waiter in there. We don't get to see Glottis chug the keg, unfortunately. We skipped that cutscene, but we pull out that can opener that we found on top of the cat food earlier in order to open up the top of the keg. And then we're gonna get to hide out inside of it. We're again actually not gonna get to see it either. We skip a lot of cutscenes here. Oops. A little early, there we go. So now we've been transported down in the empty keg. We are going to hop in this little forklift and we're gonna hop back on this elevator. This is as fast as the forklift goes, unfortunately. Not much I can do about it. So now that we're in the elevator, we're going to turn the forklift around and get as close to that side button as possible. And we're gonna hop out of the forklift, hit the button so that the elevator starts, hop back in the forklift really quickly. And now this is very important to do because you can only do this while the elevator is going up. So if we miss it, it's gonna cost us like 30 seconds. So I gotta time this out. Missed it. So yeah, it cost us like 30 seconds. What you're meant to do there is you're meant to slide the forklift tongs in there. There you go, start it up again. And then they'll get wedged in the doorway. If you try to do it while it's going down, it won't wedge because the gate will still be closed, blocking their entrance into that secret hallway. So that's why you can only do it when it's going up. So unfortunately, we have to drop the elevator all the way back down. Start it back up again and hope we get it this time. Marathon luck. There we go, we got it that time. So now we can pop out, throw the wedge down so that the pathway opens up for us like this, and then make our way into the secret passage. So what is in here, what is in that suitcase is very important to the plot. So what has happened there is that Charlie, who's the guy we talked to at the very beginning of this year, he said, hey, in exchange for you going to find my suitcase and grab my suitcase, I'm going to give you your Maritime Union card. So we're now getting the Union card from Charlie. But what is in that suitcase is a suitcase full of Class A tickets. So those are the tickets that are awarded to the best of the best people in their life, so that they can take that silver bullet train straight to the afterlife. And Charlie's got a suitcase of them, so Manny is now wondering, you know, what is going on to have made it so that he gets a suitcase full of tickets that you're only meant to have one ticket per person. So he's a little bit skeptical as to what's going on here. All right, so we're gonna talk to our friend, the security guard again, who is still mad at us. Of course, but she does have a job to do. So we tell her that the cigarette case that we picked up earlier might be a bomb. So what she does is she puts it in this little mini bomb shelter thing there and explodes it. So it will defuse the bomb, which explodes the cigarette case so we can get the key out of it. So now we have the key. Which will be important later on as to what that unlocks. Missed the hammer transition point there. That's fine. So that's kind of what it looks like when you miss that transition point. That slow walk through. Wastes like a second or two probably. Another glide there as well. All right. You might have also noticed that we picked up a turkey baster while we were waiting for the waiter to get locked in the closet. And we're going to use that to pick up this nasty water, which is going to cause some people to get sick. And that's going to be important for later. All right, so this key, we have it taking it back out now. It actually unlocks this lighthouse. There we go. And we skip a cutscene here, but basically one of our friends here is found murdered, and she kind of gives us a clue as to where to go next, which is a photo. It's less of a photo actually, and more of a coat rack tag. So we're gonna head back into our little club here and see if we can find a matching coat for that tag. Spoiler alert, I think we're gonna find one. So get ready for that. Another glide here. All right, so we got a nice long cutscene here. If there are any other plugs or donations, feel free to throw them our way.
All right. So, for those of you who have just tuned in, you're watching the third installment, one can say, of the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering online marathons. We usually organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux region, but we're doing it online for the time being, which allows us to feature streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world, like Conception here, which is really, really awesome. And we have a whole weekend ahead full of awesome runs and awesome speedrunners and amazing games. So make sure to check out our schedule and stick around.
Yes,
That's all I
definitely.
wanted to say.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's really great. Obviously, with the world the way it is definitely unfortunate, but I'm glad to be able to be a part of these BSG events when normally I couldn't, because I live in Florida in the United States, so it's not super accessible for me to be able to fly over to the Benelux region very frequently. So being able to participate in these events, I think I've been in all 3 of the online events so far. So it's been really great to be able to be a part of it and hang out with some of my friends and fellow speedrunners and just have a good time. I've been really enjoying it, despite
That's really
what's going on in the world.
It's really great, and we hope to see you at an on-site event one day as well.
Yeah, I'll have to get there someday. I did get to go to ESA Winter before everything closed down, so I got to fly to Sweden, and that was it was an absolute blast, and I met so many cool people. So I would love to be able to get out again to one of those events sometimes.
Still remember the Harry Potter cosplay. That was really cool.
Yeah, I've become kind of known for that, as it turns out. I do that in a lot of different marathons. So
Nice.
I didn't have a Grim Reaper cosplay here, so sorry. I was to disappoint the fans if they expected me to dress up, but I don't have one. Maybe someday.
Or maybe next time. Yeah.
Maybe someday. Okay, so this is a sailor. His name is Naranja, and this is the sailor that we are going to quote-unquote trick into not showing up for work, so that we can take his place on the boat. So what we did is that drink that he was drinking out of, we put that nasty, dirty water in it, and it's going to make him sick. However, that's not going to be enough for him to not show up, because the tattoo artist here is going to call up the ship captain and say, "Hey, I got your boy Naran in here. He thinks he's drunk, and he passed out, which is not the case. But I'll be sure to make sure he gets to work when he wakes up," is what he tells him, basically. So that doesn't fully solve our problem, unfortunately. So this is the only instance in the entire run that we actually have to go into our inventory, because we have just too many objects at the moment. Normally you can use the number keys 1 through 9 in order to just pick up the number in the inventory that you need to use. But we have too many to be able to get to the note that we need to give to this tattoo parlor guy. So I actually have to go into my inventory and pull it out. It's the only instance in the run that we have to do that. All right. So in case you're wondering why what we gave that tattoo parlor guy as well. So what it is, we turned in that coat tag, and we got a what appeared to be like a tattoo design card. So we turned it in here to see what that's all about, and the tattoo guy said, "Oh, there's something in that slot instead," and he gives that to us, which we're going to figure out what that's all about now. We then used the fake betting slip machine that we used all the way back, that we got all the way back from Charlie at the beginning of year 2 here, in order to create a betting slip with a particular sequence date on it. Now, if playing through the game casually, you will learn the sequence date, and you'll by doing your research and stuff like that, you'll know what dates to pick. Luckily, the date is the same every time, so I don't have to go through the lore to figure it out. I know what it is, so I just input it, which saves us a bit of time as well. So we get the betting slip. The reward is a photo, and it's a scandalous photo of Nick with the lady that we found dead at the top of the lighthouse, and they are smooching. So we're going to use this incriminating evidence with Nick, and because Nick is a high-class lawyer, what favor we're going to get from him is that he is going to help us with the worker bees. Now, the worker bees were just recently jailed because they went on strike because of their unfair labor laws. Now, we used Nick to get that worker bee out of jail, and in exchange, the worker bee has given us his tools so that now Glottis can work on the ship. And we have the Maritime Union card, and now we just need to figure out how to make sure Naranja doesn't show up for work, which we are going to solidify right after we just punch Nick in the face here because he's not a good guy. So we're going to take out our metal detector here, and we're actually going to go in this underground office, which is actually a morgue. Now, if you are a smart individual, you might be wondering how there's a morgue in the land of the dead, because we're already dead. That's kind of the point of it. So in the land of the dead, there is one way to die, which is basically you get what I call fertilized to death. There is a particular fertilizer that is really attracted to bones. And when guns are implemented with these like fertilizer bullets, for lack of a better term, you can shoot people with them, and it will cause them to sprout into bushes, kind of like this. So, and making it, them impossible for them to move, and it kind of like grows out of all of their orifices and stuff like that. So this is like their equivalent of being dead, I guess. So we're in a morgue. What we just did there, if you remember back when Naranja passed out, we grabbed his dog tags off of him. So we give the mortician the metal detector so he can detect metal on bodies. And then while he's not looking, but technically is while he's looking, because we just get it in before the cycle closes, he uses the metal detector on this unidentified dead body and finds Naranja's dog tags on it. So he calls the ship captain to say, hey, Naranja's dead. He's not coming to work because he's dead. Therefore, there's now an open slot on the ship. Kind of a dark way to get about it, but, whatever works. The last thing we have to do in order to transition this point is to make sure the casino is in working shape. And right now, it's technically not in working shape because there is a cheater down at the bottom of our casino who has kind of hacked the roulette tables. What we need to do is turn it off so he can stop cheating. So this is year 2's RNG point. If we were lucky, the magnet would have been on and we would have been able to move past this immediately. However, it was not. So we had to wait a whole nother cycle for it to turn again, and then we were able to turn the magnet off. So unlucky, but not much we could do about it. All right, so now this is the start of year 3. We finally get on that ship, but then we are caught by some nefarious folks. We actually don't know who they are yet at this point, but we're kind of held in port and we can't do anything. So we need to figure out a way to get away, so we can make our way back to Meche, who we're still in the midst of tracking. So we're going to do a very creative solution, which is we're going to move the ship so that the anchors that are holding it down are sort of at an angle there. And then we're going to press this button to raise, lower, and raise the anchor again so that the two anchors are now linked. We're going to use our handy dandy collapsible scythe to hook them, grab them, and kind of hook them along the porthole here. And then we're going to press the other side's button so that would technically raise the anchor. But what's going to happen is when the anchor is raised, it's going to tear the ship in half. Just like that. So now the ship is torn in half. This is the kind of questionable part, in my opinion, which is that we then just sail away with the half of the ship that we have, which I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but also this is the land of the dead, so we got to suspend disbelief a little bit, right? Things are probably different here. Clearly, we don't make it very far. We're actually at the very bottom of the ocean right now. That is fine because we are already dead, so it's not like we need to breathe or anything like that. It's not a problem for us. Those sea creatures might be, though. But we need to figure out a way to get out of here. There is this undersea creature here with the light. We cannot go into the dark because of those sea creatures. We need a light to get by. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab his head, pass it over to Glottis so he holds the lantern, and then now we can walk freely. There is a chance that when you're trying to talk to that guy, you can actually miss talking to him. It's very hard to do. But if you don't talk to him on his first cycle go around, you actually have to physically watch him walk all the way around again, and it takes like 40 seconds. So making sure you get him on the first pass is crucial. But like I said, as long as you're using the use button at the edge of that little light circle, you're going to get him every time pretty much. Just got to make sure you're paying attention. So you can see we got a submarine here, but it's being kind of controlled by this weird octopus thing. We need to figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, this octopus and the submarine are controlled by evil force that's going to kind of kidnap us and bring us to this, you know, prison island, for lack of a better term. And then we got to kind of figure out what's going on from there. This is quite a little bit of lengthy of a cutscene. Any donations or plugs again are now welcome. I know I've been thrown to you a lot, so if you run out of stuff to say, I can just vamp. That's fine. But if you have anything else,
no, I have stuff. Of course, I would like to talk about our charity. So BSG Online 3 is supporting Mind, which is a nationwide organization committed to prevent mental health issues and to support everyone who has dealt with mental health issues themselves or within their family. And all your donations will go to this wonderful organization, wonderful charity, which I believe is very important, not only now, but of course, always pretty much. And we are currently at 450. Amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I think 500 euros would be a really great milestone to hit, and I believe we could do that during this run, right?
I think we could. I think that's a great goal, especially for such a great cause, like you said. So let's get those donations in. Come on, get through the door. So the downside is just because I had a little thing happen there. The downside to trying to hammer through a transition like that is that sometimes if you do it too late, you'll just kind of get stuck in this weird middle transition point. Darn, I just missed it. Oh wait, no, I got it. Excellent. Okay, great. So you kind of have to like back away from the door and then enter the transition point again, which is what happened here. Now we're in year 3 now, by the way, if I haven't made that clear. That was the main RNG point of year 3. What we have to do there is we have to get some stockings, as well as that little hammer that I got from the angels in the cage, because we're going to trade them for 2 tools that are very important for us. What we do to get the stockings there, as you kind of saw, is that we kind of trick that Meche, that's Meche by the way, into accidentally flicking her ash onto her own stockings so that she has to take them off because they're burning her. So what can happen though is that you can get on a bad cycle there. And if you do it too early or late, she will see that the ashtray is turned and then she will turn it back herself. Luckily, we actually got, I thought for a second we didn't get it on the first cycle because it looked like she flicked her ash, but we actually did get it on the first cycle. And she flicked her ash again, which I've actually never seen, so I don't really know why that happened, but I'm happy it did. Saved us some time, so that's great. So this little person that is in the seat is Domino. And if you remember, I mentioned Domino kind of up top as one of our co-workers from the travel agency, which is the case. He is behind this nefarious plot that has to deal with stealing tickets from people and giving them to people who don't deserve them. Now we have a little puzzle here, and it looks like it's actually in really good shape. Maybe not great shape with this third one. Yeah, it was actually just not good enough shape, actually, just not. It looked like I could solve this one really quickly, but not quite. Back here. Basically, we need to make it so that the grooves on the side are empty, so that we can slide our scythe into it. There we go. Now we're going to take out our scythe again, slide it in there so we can keep it locked like that. And then now we can open this door. That's how we hack through it. And that was because Meche is in here and we need to save her. Domino has kind of kidnapped Meche and is holding her here in this, you know, like work camp, for lack of a better term. And what we're going to do, obviously, is we're going to do everything we can to free her. So we broke it in here, but we've also trapped ourselves in, so we got to figure out a way out. Oops. So we're gonna pick up this axe, but we can't fully pick it up. But what we can do is kind of drag it, and then we're gonna place it directly here. And there is a nice hollow spot in the ground that's gonna break, so that we can escape through that. We actually did a bit of speed tech there. So typically what's meant to happen is that you pick up the this heavy axe and you drag it very slowly. But if you click on a transition point while holding the run button, you can actually kind of like glide and run and hold it, which moves it a lot faster than just dragging it slowly. So we were able to get it on a pretty fast cycle after I had to set it up a second time. But we got there eventually. But now we have Meche rescued, but we don't have a way to get off the island yet, which we're going to work on. So another thing that has happened in the cutscenes that I have skipped here is that Manny actually believes, as of right now, that Glottis is dead because Domino threw him off a cliff, basically. So he thinks Glottis is dead. Now we're not going to see it, so I'll just let you know that Glottis is not, in fact, not dead. And he actually, when he was thrown off the cliff, he landed on the hull of like a busted old ship that he is going to use. So he needs some parts to help repair, so we're going to help him do that. I know this because I played the game, but Manny in the game as it currently stands actually has not seen this happen yet. So interesting bit of tech there. We can actually skip the animation where we would be drilling. There's this bucket and this little chain. We would drill into it so that the chain and the bucket separate, but we skip the animation, so it's actually not separated on the screen, but you're just gonna have to trust me that it is separated. I wouldn't lie to you. We're gonna rip those gears out of the ground and what's his name? Glottis, there it is. It took me a while to come up with that. Glottis is gonna be able to use those gears to help repair the ship. And then we move the chain over here. Any day, Manny, thank you. Move the chain over here so that we're able to hook it up across the anchor. So you'll see here, we use the current to slide the chain down, and there's the anchor to the ship. We're gonna flip this switch again to reverse the current so it kind of like gets knotted up right there. And then we're going to reverse the current a third time so that the knotted up version will then loop around conveniently around the anchor. All right, so now all we need to do is go back up to the overworld crane machine and then go up. And now the machine, the boat is saved, and Glottis is saved, and he repairs the boat. So now all we got to do is defeat Domino here, which we do by, instead of fighting him directly, of course, we attack the octopus that's driving the submarine in order to cause it to crash. So that's actually how year 3 ends. Year 3 is the shortest by far.
Hey.
Year 2 is definitely the longest, and year 3 is the shortest. Year 4 and year 1 are somewhat similar in length, give or take a few minutes here. So now we're actually at the gate to the afterlife. We've made it here. It's the 4th year, but we don't have passage yet. And what we have realized is that all of those tickets that have been stolen by these bigwigs. Oops, yeah, I hammered late. There we go. Stolen by these bigwigs. We need to be able to go get our tickets back so we can pass through. So we're gonna have to make our way back. We're gonna have to do a little bit of backtracking in order to make that happen. See if we can find our tickets. So we're going to use the rocket car that we've kind of used from the beginning a little bit to facilitate that. But the rocket car is all the way back in Rubacava, which is where we were in year 2. So we need to find a way to get back there. Luckily, we had a little bit of that packing material from the first year left over in one of the caskets outside that the mini demons here have figured out to use as a nitro fuel, so that they can go a little faster. And that's how we end up getting over to Rubacava again right now. We take a mine cart there on nitro fuel. And then you can kind of see where our rocket car is locked up, but it's locked up with dominoes all around it. So if we trip the dominoes, it's meant to be a trap. So we can't disturb the dominoes in order to get the car, because then it'll set off a fuse and blow it up. So we have to figure out a way to get around the dominoes, which we are going to do right now. We're going to head back into the tattoo parlor. We're not going to have to talk to anybody, luckily. We're just going to go into this medicine cabinet and grab the liquid nitrogen, which will be good for freezing stuff later on. And then make our way back up. Luckily, we don't have to go through like the link. As you can kind of remember, Rubacava was like a huge area. It was by far the biggest. So luckily, a lot of those paths are actually closed off to us, so it limits where we have to go. So we don't have to go too far. We stay in kind of the main central hub area, which is good. Oh, actually, we want to go this way. Whoops. All right, so we talked to our old friend, the ship captain. He kind of has retired without having a boat now. It never came back because we tore it in half and whatnot. But so he's retired. We're going to grab his ship in the bottle, which is first and foremost a bottle, which is what we're going to utilize it for. And then head back into this blue casket, which is that bar nightclub area that we were at near the beginning of the game. Head back in here. And then there is this cask here that we're going to fill up with this purple liquid that Manny calls in the story lumbago lemonade. So I think it's like an alcoholic lemonade of some sort. It sounds like it would be good in theory. So I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But yeah, it's like this purple liquid. And if you remember, there's a particular character here who is a lush. So we're gonna throw that liquid Glottis's way and see what kind of craziness we can shake up here. And if it's not clear, by the way, so what we're attempting to do is head all the way back to the office where we worked at the beginning in order to get the tickets. So we're gonna go talk to the big boss there, figure out what's going on, and deal with it, and end this conspiracy. So Gloss went overboard. He throws up that lumbago lemonade into the chamber where our car is with the dominoes. So it sounds like it'd be bad, right? But for some reason, his huge projectile vomit does not cause the dominoes to tip over. And it, in fact, creates a layer of liquid on the ground. So what I can do is now use that liquid nitrogen on top of it to freeze it. Now the dominoes cannot be disturbed. And I can walk across and disarm the trap to keep moving back towards the office. All right. So here we are back at the office. This is actually specifically the underground where we met our underground compatriots at the beginning, the ones who saved us. We're going to send a couple things with this pigeon so we can alert the head guy as to what's going on. and we're going to talk to her, who she is meant to be helping us out. Spoiler alert, she betrays us, but you don't know that yet. You're just going to have to trust me. Or play the story yourself, because it's an excellent game. I know I make it sound kind of wacky, and it is kind of wacky. It's a definitely wacky game, but the story is really, really good. And it's not a particularly long game either. So, up we go. You'll notice it's a theme for some reason that things keep getting turned into casinos from what they once were. So this office building now acts as partly as a casino as well. But we're not going to get to see the casino floor yet. We're going to go head back up here. And then these are like the actors and dancers quarters for like the entertainment at the casino. The thing is, because this is our office building, we're so easily recognized. So we need to be able to get, in order to get into the big boss's office, we need a good disguise. So that first is going to start with our face. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour hot coffee on these dancer guys, making them now unavailable to participate in the dance. And we are going to head into their dressing room and get painted up so that our face is unrecognizable. Unfortunately, they are a bit dramatic about it and take their time. And also, unfortunately, we can't just leave the coffee pot up there. We have to take it with us because we have to immediately head back up the back up the ladder here anyway, to get another piece. But we, unfortunately, yeah, we just have to do it twice. There's no way around it. So a little weird. You might have noticed at the very beginning, the first thing I did when we got back into this underground was that there was a dead body on the floor, which was somebody who got shot by one of the big boss's men and kind of came crawling back. He had a hand that remained that was untouched by the fertilizer. So we took his hand and we had it. It's just his bone hand, and now we have put it inside a grinder that's usually meant to like make snow or something, but we now have a bone grinder to create bone kind of dust. And what we're going to use that for is there are stains of fertilizer leading all the way to this guy called the florist. And we're going to follow those stains. Now, typically, you're meant to follow like a whole string of stains in order to get to this point. But as long as you go to the transition point and hit one of them, then it will still trigger the next cutscene. Being very careful here. So that might have looked a little bit slow in terms of animation. For some reason, whenever you get to this part, you can't just press the button in order to get the control out. It will always go into your inventory. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. I don't know why that's the case. But if you try to transition too quickly out of your inventory into jumping out of the car, you can easily soft lock the game, which we do not want to do because there's no autosave feature. So I would have had to start from a save file that I had previously loaded. So we definitely did not want to do that. So basically, using the hydraulics of the car, we stomp on that gator's tail so he can't catch us as we head into the florist here. And we trick the florist into thinking, instead of an assassin, that we are indeed a customer by taking off his little bell cover there. And then we just turn around and come right back in. And then he's just like, oh, a paying customer. Are you looking for guns and ammunition? And then we are like, yes, please, guns and ammunition. And he gives them to us. Pretty simple trick, but that's all right. Yep, also there, sometimes when you go fast like that, Manny's head will just disappear for no reason and pop back into existence. Don't know why, just happens. Just a nice little visual glitch for you. So, now we have face paint. Now we have a weapon to go confront the big boss guy with, so we feel pretty confident that we can get what we need. We just have to get up to his office. And his office is directly through the casino floor here. But one thing we also need is that nobody is going to take Manny seriously in these duds. He needs a better outfit because he needs to look more professional in order to be able to make it up to the big boss's office. So we're going to do some hijinks in order to get somebody's outfit here. This is actually Meche in disguise, this woman here. So So she's in on the whole deal. And she throws us this sheet. And we're going to throw it over Charlie's head. Say hello to Charlie again. While he's distracted with the sheet over his head, we are going to talk to this guy who also is working with us undercover. And what he is going to do is he's going to hack Charlie's slot machine in order to make it so that he won, which will cause Charlie to stop gambling and then head to the toga party that they were supposed to go to. In order for him to go into a toga party, he has to change his clothes. And like any normal person would, when you change your clothes, you just leave them in the bathroom that you changed in, right? So when he changes his clothes to get into the toga, he leaves them in the bathroom. We go into the bathroom afterwards to steal his suit. And then we'll have this face paint and a nice suit so that we feel good and ready to approach the big boss man. His name is Hector Le Mans, the big boss man, by the way. While we have this whole transition point, another great time to throw to any donations or plugs that we have going on.
Absolutely. So we also have an any % run of The Witness happening soonish, for which we have an amazing incentive that is pretty close to being met. So if we do, the runner will perform a challenge time trial run, which is very intense, and you do not want to miss it. And we're just 90 euros away from meeting that incentive. So consider donating towards that. It's going to be really, really great. Thank you.
Oh, unlucky. Okay, so I'm just going to focus on the part for a second. Okay, so this is the RNG portion of year 4. What happens there is that in order to trick the doorman there, to let us up to the office, he asks us a question about Hector Le Mans that only we would know if we were working for him. And the answer to that question is actually on the bingo board behind us. And it's completely random as to what number he can pick. He could pick an early number so we don't have to scroll, or he could pick a late number, so we have to scroll a lot. But there's also a lot of numbers to focus on the first run through of it, to the point that it's very easy to miss the number that you're meant to input, which is exactly what happened. And I actually also missed it the second time. So it took me 3 tries to do it, which is very slow, but also it's also like the least costly of the RNG moments in the run, because it doesn't waste a lot of time for you to just try it again, just a couple seconds. But I probably wasted in total like, oops, wrong key there, 10 seconds or so there at least, but it happens. So we use our bone grinder there on the crack, and then we're going to also take out our fertilizer ammo from the gun we bought from the florist. And if you remember, bone and fertilizer reacts to create these growths and bushes and stuff like that. So we do that in the crack of the sign, so the sign falls. And then we are going to hop up top and glide across to the last scene of the game. Oops, there we go. So this is the last scene in the game, which is called the greenhouse. This is where basically what has happened is we have chased Hector Le Mans here, and he has locked himself in this greenhouse, and we have to figure out a way to get to him. So the first thing we have to try is we have to just try going in straight into the greenhouse, which is not going to work out for us. Spoiler alert. We're going to open it up, and Hector Le Mans is going to shoot us. So we're actually shot with that fertilizer ammo currently, but luckily we got some liquid nitrogen, so we're going to sprinkle it right on the gunshot wound, remove the flour, and it's going to save us so that it doesn't spread into our bones. So that was lucky. Now we have to figure out a way to get in there without getting shot by Hector Le Mans. We got to figure out a way to defeat him. Oops. Come on. Let me skip the cutscene. There we go. So now we got to get a little bit creative. That head that was in the cart was actually the head of the leader of the resistance that saved us all the way at the beginning of the run. So we were betrayed by that woman that I told you was going to betray us. She took him out, but through a cutscene there, we were able to trick her and defeat her. So that's actually her dead in the bushes right there. And now we actually have his ticket, Salvador's ticket, who's the head of the resistance, and he has a key to this trunk that we need to get in. Oops. There we go. Keep going. But it's on his body, not on his head, so we have to figure out where his body is. Luckily, the tickets are attracted to the body. So they float naturally to it. And I've had this bug a lot recently, and I have no idea as to why this happens. But usually, if you can just walk roughly into the area, and then the ticket will just fly out of your hand and exactly where it needs to go. Now, the body is always in the same spot, which is right here. As you can see, I was clicking immediately around this area, but for some reason, it just would not trigger, and I don't know why. Sometimes it triggers fast, and sometimes it doesn't. Weirdly, we can have a nice animation skip where while Manny is picking up the key from the dead body, we can move. I don't know why that's the case, just oversight, I think. So we start the movement early while he's still picking up the key from the body. We have the key to get into the trunk. We're gonna pop the trunk open. And in there is gonna be a weapon, and it's a little misleading. So you think, oh, we're gonna take the weapon up to the greenhouse and we're gonna take out Hector LeMans with it, right? That's not the case. What we're gonna do instead is, this is a greenhouse, so there's lots of fertilizer that occurs to help grow plants. So what we're going to do is we're gonna spray those fertilizer fumes by shooting the tank. Oops, there we go. Causing a leak to occur inside the greenhouse, which is going to take out Hector LeMans. Now time is coming up as soon as we click on the last input on the greenhouse door. So coming up in just a few seconds here. So get ready on that. And time.
GG.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so this is Grim Fandango. You can kind of enjoy a little bit of the last cutscenes there on my way out. So he kind of explodes from the greenhouse gases there. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you, BSG, for having me on to do this run. I really appreciate it. This game is excellent, and I love it so much, and I'm hopeful that we can inspire more runners to get entertained and excited to do this run. If you're interested in doing the run, we don't currently have an open Discord server. I'm working on getting that crafted as we've taken on a few runners lately in order to pass on some resources. But if you just go to the speedrun.com page for Grim Fandango and just put in the forum there, I'm one of the mods. I'll be happy to help you if you're interested in running the game. We'll have some of those resources up soon. Other than that, yeah, if you can just follow me on Twitch. My name's Conception2. If you're interested in speedruns of this nature, I also speedrun Pokemon and other RPGs and fun games and stuff like that. I've been known to do some Harry Potter stuff here and there as well. So if you like all that stuff, come on by, and I'll be happy to have you. Other than that, thank you, BSG and ESA, for having me.
Thank you very much for bringing that game to BSG. It was a really, really enjoyable run. Thank you. I had so much fun.
Thank you.
Right. We're going to have a short ad break, and then we'll be right back with even more fabulous games. So stay tuned.
You were the best.